Let's see the recent maritime accidents. MarinAura, a luxury sailing yacht, was sunk in Spain after being hit by the SAR tug Puerto on June 10. The sailing boat MarinAura was hit by the SAR ship Puerto in Tarragona port, Spain. The starboard side of the yacht was crushed and sunk along the pier. There were no injuries. The yacht's hull is built of steel, and she will almost certainly be refurbished. New Star Ro ferry collides with pier, collapses SBB, damages, Pusan. On arrival from Jeju, the ferry New Star servicing the Pusan-Jeju route impacted the pier and shipboarding bridge, SBB, at Pusan port early in the morning on June 10 with 180 people on board. SBB fell, and the SBB operator was injured. The bow and four starboard areas of the vessel were damaged, including dents and hull breaches. The ferry must undergo repairs in order to continue her planned voyages. Al Badri 1, carrying 16,000 cattle, capsized in the Red Sea, in the evening of June 11, while ready to depart port. The livestock carrier Al Badri 1 overturned and sunk along the pier at Suakin Port, Sudan, Red Sea. The ship, which is carrying 16,000 cattle, is lying starboard on the bottom, slightly over the waterline. The most likely reason of capsizing is stated to be overload. Onwin collided with tugboat Marine 59 and barge in the Singapore Strait, north of Batam, Indonesia. The bulk carrier Hanwin collided with the tug Marine 59, which was hauling a barge. The barge, which was carrying 4,500 tons of stone, was damaged and hauled to shallows to avoid sinking. The bulk carrier continued on her route from Singapore to Bahadapi, southeast Sulawesi, without stopping. Fire on general cargo ship Cia Yalova, Turkey. On June 12, a fire broke out in the engine room of the general cargo ship Cia Yalova, Turkey's Marmara Sea. SAR ship, tugs, and firefighting engines worked together to put out the fire. The ship is parked at a shipyard, where she has been undergoing repairs since January 2022 and is therefore in ballast. Sunnylink remains stranded on Philippine beach for more than 4 months. On February 4, the ship Sunnylink was forced to run aground at Abagatan Beach on the western coast of central Luzon, Philippines. The ship had water infiltration and had to go aground to escape sinking. In light of the approaching typhoon season, local officials have requested that the ship be removed. The reefs were not harmed by Sunnylink, and there was no leak. A birth alliance with Omicron Nikos, at about noon on June 13. The Omicron Nikos struck a pier in Santos Port, Brazil, while moving berths. The bulk ship was allegedly laden with 71,000 tons of sugar and sustained no severe damage. Damages are currently being assessed in order to determine the ship's seaworthiness. On June 10, she docked in Santos after coming from Vietnam via Singapore. At Sudan Port, Singapore's chemical tanker Maritime Polaris collided with cargo ship Al Badri 1, on June 13. The chemical tanker Maritime Polaris made contact with a berthed unidentified cargo ship, most likely a bulk carrier, in Sudan Port, Sudan. When the disaster happened, the tanker had just arrived in port and was on its way to berth. Both ships were damaged, but only little damage is thought to have occurred. The accident happened just hours after the Al Badri 1 livestock transport tragedy in Sudan's Suakin port. After grounding, the expedition ship Ms. Virgo was damaged and leaking oil. On June 14, the expedition vessel Ms. Virgo went aground in Fulf, Jordan, northwestern Spitsbergen, Svalbard, Norwegian archipelago between Norway and the North Pole, Arctic. The ship's hull was punctured in the fuel tank area, resulting in an oil leak. According to the track, Virgo was refloated 4 hours later, most likely with the help of an offshore tug. Virgo was cruising at a very slow pace near the grounding location, with a tug and an extra vessel close. Maersk Surabaya, an 8,500 tow container ship, is grounded for 2 hours in Savannah. On June 14, the container ship Maersk Surabaya went aground in the Savannah River near Old Fort Jackson while traveling upstream from Charleston to Savannah Port. With the help of many tugs, the ship was refloated 2 hours later, started moving, and was berthed on June 15. There have been no complaints of damage or oil leakage. Sun Unicorn collided with berthed bayonets, After unmooring, the cargo ship Sun Unicorn collided with the berthed container ship Obanitsa at Novorossiysk port in Russia's Black Sea, because Obanitsa was departing for Samsun, Turkey in the afternoon on June 15, and Sun Unicorn was leaving the same day. The ship suffered stern damages. 3 crew members of the Singaporean container ship Simba jumped overboard, interrupting their voyage. Simba is now deployed in the Sea Lead Shipping Asia East Coast service, with Panama as the next port of call. On the morning of June 15, 3 crewmen of the container ship Simba leapt overboard when the ship was passing Fort George Island, St. Johns River, Jacksonville, USA. Simba sailed out of the river and anchored, only to hoist anchor and return to Jacksonville, where she was berthed, and 3 hours later. It's unknown why she didn't stay at anchor or start her cruise and had to be towed back to berth. Ocean S Star fishing vessel on the beach. On June 14, the specialized fishing vessel Ocean S Star was beached on Oquendo Beach in Callao, Peru, due to severe surge. As far as I can tell, the ship has been in layup for a long period, perhaps 2-3 years. 2 watchmen on board were saved, and it is expected that the ship's owner would attempt to save the ship due to the costly equipment on board. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this video. If you have any questions or comments, drop it in comment section.